You know what I've been feeling lately? Nothing about marketing feels like marketing to me. It feels performative. It feels like we have this to-do list of tasks to do. We're always busy running a million campaigns and not really having it mean something. It just feels disconnected. It feels performative and like nothing really matters anymore. I know, a little dramatic, but if you're here listening to this, I know one thing about you. You didn't get into marketing or content for that. You got into this to create something that actually means something. But before we dive into that, hi, I'm Anusha Kannan, marketer. I'm an analyst. I'm a writer, a content creator, a podcaster. And this is the 360-degree marketing show with Anusha Kannan. And today, before we get started, I just want to bring my mic closer because my dad has been telling me I'm leaning in like this every time. Whatever. Today's episode, I want to talk about what separates great marketers from marketers who constantly burn out. And I've been on both sides and I hate burning out. So the one thing that actually separates them is intention. Because the problem isn't your funnel, right? This thing here, it's called a funnel. This is your step-by-step blueprint of how to get customers, what steps they're in, like how to navigate them, all that good stuff. It's that you built a funnel without asking the number one question. Why the hell am I doing this at all? Let's slow this down. I remember the exact time that this actually hit me. Back when I was just starting out, I used to think that the busier I was, the more I was winning, the more I was getting done. It felt like I was doing a lot of different things. I was that person with 10 tabs open. Like all those 10 tabs were important to me. Back to back content calendars. I remember I used to be like always on Slack, always on Teams, always on LinkedIn, always online everywhere, always being online, talking to people. But what I learned is busy is not the same as aligned. Busy is a costume. Aligned is clarity. This happens to all of us. You get on this content treadmill. You start launching this campaign cycle. You have like these endless Slack pings. And suddenly you're measuring success by, oh my God, I'm doing like a million tasks. I'm super busy. You're not thinking about how aligned you are. And trust me, I've been there, right? I've done a lot of different things over the last 5 years. I've launched so many things. I've spent so much time on each and every one of those things. And when I look back, I'm like, why did I waste so much time? What was the intention behind all of these things? It just feels empty. One of like my biggest mantras is I do not publish anything that doesn't feel like something that I would sit and watch. And I don't mean it has to be perfect. I'm not saying in terms of, oh my God, this is like the most amazing content that I've ever put out there. Nothing like that. When I look back on the stuff I've done, I cringe so hard. But I do think it has to be like, it has value in it for where I am at in life right now. And that's how I look at content. But in terms of brand and how we think right now, I think if it feels like noise to you, it's going to feel like noise to your customer. It's going to feel like noise to your audience. So that is what I'm talking about. That is where intention is missing. And that's fixable. I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off because attention is cheap. I know. It's 2025. Attention is everything. Grabbing attention is the most difficult part of 2025. Attention is cheap. Curiosity is earned. Attention doesn't just happen because someone gets locked in. It happens because you've created situations, conditions where curiosity is like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? What is that? What is that? I have to know that. The best brands don't just sell, they signal. They storytell, they make you lean in, they make you want to know what's going on, not just scroll past and ignore. It's like roll it back a little bit. Think about this. If you're in a room with like 10,000 people, and you want to get someone's attention, how will you get their attention? Talk to yourself? No, nobody's going to pay attention to that. So what's the next best thing you can think of? Go on stage, grab a mic, start talking. People will pay attention. But the only catch here right now is that everybody is on stage. Stage is a channel. YouTube, TikTok, everybody's there. So how do you actually get someone's attention? By doing something different. And what does doing something different actually give you? Curiosity. So you can stand on the biggest stage in the world, and if you don't actually make people curious, if you don't make people think about, oh my God, what is this person trying to say? If you're thinking like that about me, hold on. This is part of it. I think this is what you're supposed to do. If you're not thinking like that, wow, I'm just like failing as a script writer. But I do think curiosity is everything, not attention. There are two ways to look at this. You're either on stage, being extremely loud and not really adding any value, not bringing out the curiosity in people, or you're off stage. You're doing like the most lamest thing ever, but it's different. And that sparks curiosity, and people will find you where you are. So here's what I'm actually trying to tell you. Curiosity is the main trigger, not attention. People are focusing so much on, I want the attention. People's attention span are not that great. We need to like grab attention. No. Attention is the byproduct of curiosity. Attention is the byproduct of what you create. It's the reward for making people feel like, wait, what's going on here? So please listen to me when I say it doesn't matter what platform you're on. What matters is what you create, how you make people feel, and what you're saying when you're making people feel what they're feeling. Because amplification without intention is just noise. Take the literal example. Go and grab a microphone, stand on top of a stage, scream loudly, nobody cares. People don't stay because you yelled the loudest. People stay because they wonder, wait, what's their story? So if you want attention, tell better stories. Create curiosity. That's the real skill. And this is pure psychology, by the way. Humans remember incomplete stories. I do not like surprises. I despise having to sit on the edge of a seat and not knowing how something is going to finish. It's just not something I can do. Humans are wired like that. We lean in when we don't know the full picture. We stay when we feel like something is just out of reach. That is why I always tell teams like your top of funnel content is super important. It should not be a pitch. It should be an invitation. Think about it this way. If you're offering someone, if you're basically pitching someone something, you're basically saying, hey, these are the things that we have to offer and I'm going to give you all of this. And then you're giving them a reason to say no. But if you're inviting them like, hey, we offer this and this is what we have for now, but there's also something else behind that's kind of like a invite only for serious people, only kind of an invitation. It touches their ego. I actually learned this from Gossip Girl, I think, where I heard in one of these episodes where they said they have all the good stuff, like the good clothes in the store behind. That's always stayed with me. And I've always gone back to stores and been like, so what do you have behind? I want to know what you have at the back of the store. Do you have like any storage? Because I heard that's how they store things in Gossip Girl. I don't know if that's true. I've never walked into a store and actually figured out. They'd just be like, what do you mean? It's in the front. Go and check it out. But maybe it is true. Maybe it is true for luxury brands. I don't know. I mean, luxury brands do this too. They're not telling you, here's everything we have. No, they're actually creating this sense of FOMO, right? Everything is psychology and marketing. Everybody talks about marketing in a sense of like, give your customers all the information. They don't care. They don't care about knowing everything about you. It's like basically showing up on a first date and telling that person everything about yourself. Nobody cares that much. Curiosity is the main reason I fell in love with studying again. When I was back in school, I used to hate studying. I just despised studying because it was something that I had to do. It was something I was supposed to do. But the moment I leaned into curiosity, I started learning for me. Marketing was not my main jam. I'm an engineer. Marketing has got nothing to do with me. But then it was my curiosity that led me to create this goddamn podcast. So that's the energy your marketing needs too. It's more about meaning because people aren't looking for data. They're looking for vibes. I know that sounds super lame. I know that sounds so Gen Z of me. 100% that is true. And if you don't believe me, take a look at HubSpot's inbound. Canva just had a massive event. Vibes. And by vibes, I mean value. When you go to these events, you get three things. The first thing is ease. You get all these amazing tools that's going to make your life easier. That's basically why you go to all these events, right? You try to meet up with your company people. You're trying to learn about things that can make your workflow easier. And the second thing you get is access to like front row seat to updates that are coming a couple months later. Access to people. Access to influencers, access to creators, access to what's happening in the industry. And all of this together makes their business easier because they get to collaborate with people there. They get to film their entire experience. Have you seen how many influencers go to these events and film it and they make money out of it? They even do paid brand partnership through this. So if you think this is all just like one thing, I'm always coming back to how it's all connected 360-degree view. Like you always have to look at the flywheel and be like, every single one of these things, they're connected. Let me give you a question I use with every client. I want you to literally think about the latest thing you created. Open your last campaign doc, your Notion board, or whatever it is, and ask yourself, whenever I make something, am I saying all of this to sound smart? Or am I saying all of this to make them feel smart? Because the second one, that's how trust compounds. If I was here saying, hey, I know all of this and you know nothing, you would probably just tune me out. But if I say like, hey, I know these are the things that are happening in the industry. These are the things that I've been seeing. I know you've been seeing them too. What do you think about that? That's a two-way conversation. But if you're like, hey, these are the things that are happening in the industry. I don't know if you believe in this, but this is what I believe in. Nobody cares. They'll tune you out. Here's what I know. And I've learned this not from marketing, but from my own personal life. In the last 3 years, I've moved 3 times. And if there's one thing I've learned is that you cannot show up with like this perfect resume, perfect outfit, perfect attitude. People will not remember any of that. They will remember how you made them feel. Think of your content also the same way. I've been to new cities. I've had the same, I'm still the same person everywhere I go. But the one thing that they remember most about me is, oh, she talks like this. Oh, she drinks a lot of coffee. Oh, these are quirks. These are things about me they remember, not, oh, she dressed up like this. Sure. They might remember 1 or 2 times when I was overdressed to work or to grab a cup of coffee, but they remember I like coffee. That's what I made them feel, that this woman drinks so much coffee. I made them feel curious. Why is this person drinking so much coffee? People won't remember surface level stuff. They'll remember how you either make them feel seen or how you make them feel like they can connect with you. And that's what intentional marketing does. People don't specifically remember your content. They remember how your content made them feel. Let me tell you here for an example. I've been trying to repurpose some of my video content, and there are so many platforms that will help me turn all of this long form piece of content into short ones. And I hate every single one of them. I hate how every single one of them makes me feel because I am not able to customize it the way that I want to. If you know of any tools, just leave them in the comments below because I've been like struggling with it. Cold emails, like I've been receiving a lot of them lately for all the stuff that I do, video editing, all of that. And none of them stand out to me. I barely open any of these cold emails, which of course comes from a place of power. And I don't like that. I don't like having that much power. But I do think when people are sending these emails, they forget that there's an actual human on the other side. And there are only very few emails that I've actually opened only because they were so intentional. That person put in the homework, right? They've actually gone through the content I've put out. They know what I'm looking for. They know what I'm doing. They know what even like half of my intentions are for making those videos. And they're like, I think this is how you're supposed to amplify it. I think this is how we can make sure that this reaches the right kind of audience. And that's intentional marketing. They know who they're talking to. Okay, if you're sitting there and thinking, Anusha, all of this sounds good in theory, but I have a funnel and I have to get leads. I have to hit my targets. I get it. But let me tell you this. Even the people who vouch for the traditional funnel, they're moving away from it. Boswell Consulting Group. BCG literally dropped this piece showing how their old linear funnel doesn't even make sense anymore. Customers don't think in neat little steps. They don't go from awareness to consideration to action. Maybe 10 years ago that would have worked, but people today move like this. They're probably on TikTok at 2 a.m. thinking about something and they either do all of it in 1 hour and actually make a purchase, or they go across platforms and they keep seeing it and they keep getting retargeted ads and they make in this one split decision because they had a fight with their sister or something or brother. And they're like, you know what? I need to feel better about myself. I'm going to buy something and I'm going to get myself something. And they end up doing it. People scroll, they stream, they search, and then they shop. Sometimes all in one platform, sometimes all in 1 hour. So when your funnel isn't linear anymore, your message has to be even clearer. So now that we know our funnel isn't exactly linear anymore, your message has to be much more clearer and your vibe has to be much more stronger, by which I mean what value you're offering has to be much more stronger. And your intention has to hold them wherever they are. I do think that top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, post purchase, all of those things still exist. It's just that they demand different things from you. Top of funnel demands that you earn curiosity. Middle of funnel demands that you build trust. Bottom of funnel demands that you offer clarity. Post-purchase demands that you create belonging. Marketing without intention leaks at every single one of these stages. Intention is a common denominator between all of these funnels. And that's how the best brands do it. The best brands don't just sell, they invite. They don't just show up loud everywhere. They're just true. Great brands do marketing that feels like they're talking directly to you and it feels like a conversation rather than it being like, you know how people say, don't talk at them, talk to them or talk with them. And if this episode made you feel something or think about something, I've put together a worksheet. You can find that on 360-degree Nucleus. It's not template. It's not a hack. It's just questions to make you think, just questions that I kind of write down every time I'm like doing a podcast or thinking about other videos that I do or any type of content I do or when I'm like working on campaigns or anything that comes related to marketing. I kind of ask myself grounding questions because we often like get lost in the noise because it's like, oh my God, today's this trend. I'm not saying don't do trends because you never know what's going to create awareness for you. But I do think you always like have to come back to the basics, like the foundation and ground yourself. Because real marketing starts when you start thinking clearly and act intentionally. And I kind of like to think of brands as building homes because there are certain brands that are very close to my heart. And for example, I only drink brew coffee when I make it at home, and I only drink Starbucks when I go outside. So these are home to me. And I think you have to think about it that way when you're doing something for marketing. But that's what I had for this week's episode. If you haven't checked out last week's episode, I'll highly recommend you do that. I also have another YouTube channel called Pivot with Anusha Kannan, where I talk about all the stuff that I built and more important conversations that I have there. Make sure to check that channel out too. And make sure to sign up to I also send out newsletters just for me, just rambling on about what's been happening that week. So if you'd like that, go to anushakanan.com/newsletter and sign up. And I will see you next week. With that, peace.